When Eric and I moved into our new apartment, we thought we'd hit the jackpot. It was spacious, affordable, and the landlord seemed eager to rent it out. The first few nights were peaceful, but soon, strange things began to happen. It started with small, almost unnoticeable things: items misplaced, lights left on, and doors that I was sure I had closed, found wide open. Eric, ever the skeptic, brushed it off as forgetfulness or stress from the move. I, on the other hand, felt uneasy. One night as I lay in bed, I heard a faint whisper. It was too indistinct to make out the words, but it sent chills down my spine. I sat up, heart pounding, but the room was empty. I convinced myself it was my imagination and eventually fell asleep. The whispers became more frequent. Sometimes they were hushed conversations, other times they were soft sobs. I started losing sleep, and my paranoia grew. One evening, while Eric was out, I decided to confront the source of the whispers. I followed the sound to a small, locked door in the hallway. It led to an unused storage room. With a sense of dread, I found the key and unlocked the door. The room was empty, except for a small, dusty mirror on the wall. As I stared into it, the whispers grew louder. To my horror, I saw a faint outline of a person behind me in the reflection, a shadowy figure with hollow eyes. I stumbled back, but when I turned around, the room was empty. I ran out, slamming the door behind me. When Eric returned, I tried to explain, but he just laughed it off, thinking it was a prank or my overactive imagination. The whispers intensified, now accompanied by cold drafts and flickering lights. I became increasingly desperate. One night, I decided to leave a recording device in the storage room. The next day, I played it back, and my blood ran cold. The recording captured a voice, clear and malicious.
"You shouldn't have come here. This is my home."
I confronted the landlord, demanding answers. He reluctantly revealed that a previous tenant had vanished without a trace, and some believed his spirit haunted the apartment. The storage room was where he was last seen. Desperate and terrified, Eric and I moved out immediately. We never looked back, but I always remember the unseen roommate who had never left.
Samantha and I were excited to start our new lives as college roommates. We found a charming old house near campus, full of character and quirks. One of those quirks was a door in the basement that was always locked. The landlord had told us it was just a storage room and not to worry about it. For the first few months, things went smoothly. We decorated the house, had friends over, and enjoyed our new independence. But I couldn't shake my curiosity about the locked door. Samantha, on the other hand, wasn't bothered by it. One rainy night, while Samantha was away, I decided to investigate. I found an old, rusty key hidden above the doorframe. With a mix of excitement and apprehension, I unlocked the door. The room was dark and musty, filled with old furniture and boxes covered in cobwebs. As I explored, I found an old diary. It belonged to a young woman named Emily, who had lived in the house decades ago. The entries started out normal, but gradually became more disturbing. Emily wrote about hearing voices and seeing shadows. She mentioned the basement door and how she felt something evil was behind it. My fascination turned to fear as I read the final entry.
"I can hear them calling me. I know I shouldn't go, but I can't resist. If anyone finds this, please understand I had no choice."
Suddenly, I heard a noise from the basement. I tried to leave, but the door slammed shut, trapping me inside. I felt a cold presence behind me and turned to see a shadowy figure with hollow eyes, just as Emily had described. Samantha came home to find the house in chaos. The basement door was open, but I was nowhere to be found. The police searched the house and found my phone and the diary, but no trace of me. They ruled it as a missing person case, but Samantha knew something sinister had taken me. She moved out immediately, but she couldn't escape the guilt and fear. Years later, she still hears whispers in the night, calling her to the basement door that she'll never dare to open.
Mia and I were the best of friends since childhood, so it was a no-brainer to become roommates when we started college. We found a cozy apartment near campus, perfect for our needs. Everything seemed great until I started noticing odd things about Mia. At first, it was small inconsistencies. Mia would forget conversations we had just had or not remember things she had done the day before. I chalked it up to stress and the demands of college life. But then, Mia's behavior became more erratic. One night I woke up to find Mia standing at the foot of my bed, staring at me with a blank expression. "Mia, what are you doing?" I asked, my voice trembling. Mia didn't respond, just turned and walked out of the room. The next morning, Mia had no recollection of the incident. She brushed it off as sleepwalking, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Mia's episodes became more frequent. She would wander the apartment at night, muttering to herself, or stand motionless in the hallway for hours. I decided to confront Mia about her behavior. She seemed genuinely confused and frightened by my accounts of her nighttime activities. Desperate for answers, we set up a camera in the living room to see what was happening at night. The next morning, we reviewed the footage. To our horror, we saw Mia get up, walk to the living room, and stare directly into the camera for hours, her eyes unblinking. But there was something even more disturbing. At the same time, we saw Mia asleep in her bed. Terrified, we realized there was a doppelganger in our apartment, mimicking Mia's appearance. We decided to stay together at all times, hoping to avoid the doppelganger's influence. But the doppelganger was persistent. One night, we heard a noise from the living room. We armed ourselves with kitchen knives and cautiously approached. We found the doppelganger standing there, smiling menacingly. It spoke in Mia's voice, but the words were distorted and wrong. "You can't escape me," it said. "I am a part of you." In a desperate attempt to drive it away, we lunged at the doppelganger. But as soon as we touched it, it vanished, leaving behind a cold, empty space. We knew we couldn't stay in the apartment any longer. We moved out the next day, but the experience haunted us. Mia continued to see glimpses of her doppelganger in mirrors and shadows, a constant reminder of the horror we had faced. We could never truly escape the dark presence that had invaded our lives, always fearing that it might one day return.